underground man does not refer to a person who lives underground. No. The underground man, and by the way, it doesn't mean, and has nothing to do with a person who lives underground, but it refers to an idea, something that is way more complex than that, and I'll go through it shortly. But it's from a book called Notes from Underground and the Double. Very good book. I haven't even gotten halfway through it, and I'm already pretty astounded with the knowledge that I've acquired from it. And there's one thing in particular that I found very interesting, fascinating, and quite relatable in what life is like today, and that's the underground man. Now, the underground man refers to the idea of a person who is quite intelligent, but is almost too intelligent for themselves. And with that being, they're overly conscious. And this overwhelming amount of consciousness is what is like almost the downfall of their life, because they overanalyze, overthink literally every single thing in their life, whether that be their what they should do with their life. Is this going to be a good decision, and all that kind of stuff. And this is almost like a disease, a poison. It poisons a person's life, because this constant stimulation of their brain, having like a million thoughts go in their mind a second, and they're just constantly, thinking, oh, what if this, what if that, what if this, what if that, what if... And they just don't do. They just think. They think. What if? And this causes people who suffer from this to, not get anything done, to, be miserable, and to be quite resentful and negative, and are the people who, belittle other people and all of that kind of stuff. And you see that, and this whole concept of the underground man doesn't just refer to males, by the way. You can be an underground woman. This refers to all the female viewers of this video as well. And it starts off with, these people overthinking everything, whatever. Then, as time goes on, they actually haven't achieved anything, because, they have all these thoughts going through their head of, or what if they get judged and all that kind of stuff. And then, rolls into, fear. They're too scared, and they're like almost fearful of society, but they still have the guts to belittle timid individuals, because they get pleasure from that, because they're insecure, as they haven't achieved anything. And yeah, they might actually feel good about themselves for that moment. They feel on top of the world. They're actually progressing, and then it kind of comes back like a slap in the face, and they realize they actually haven't achieved anything. If anything, they've probably gone downhill, because they're a worse person. They made someone's life worse, and they're now, like, when they're reflecting on it, they just feel horrible about what they did. And this cycle just continues, or feeling miserable, whatever, make fun of a person, then feel miserable again, and it just goes on. And for years and years, this whole plague occurs. And on top of that, they're fearful of society, and they retreat into their hole, because they're a mouse. They're scared, they're timid. Yeah, they might pick on the occasional, timid person to get that, boost of dopamine or whatever. And that's why it's called underground. Why this concept is the underground man, because it's like a mouse retreating into their hole, whether that hole be their apartment, their house, wherever they're living, and they just kind of retreat from society, and then they end up being all negative and resentful and hating everybody, and then they end up being that one like old person you see that's just always negative and no one wants to be around them and they're all just lonely and whatever. And it's just a horrible, horrible, horrible place to be. And then these people end up regretting most of their choices because they didn't, have a purpose. They didn't achieve anything. And that achievement doesn't have to be something huge, or I made $1 billion or whatever. It doesn't have to be anything like that. But when you live life with no purpose, it's pretty pointless. Like, a lot of people find that there's no point of living life if they don't have any purpose. They don't contribute anything to the world. It doesn't have to be society, but they don't contribute anything. They don't have anything to offer. They're just a piece of matter. And that's the place you don't want to be. You don't want to end up like that, because you're just gonna be this negative clump of mess. And I know I'm not the most qualified person to say this, because I'm not terribly old, and I don't have a white beard, and I'm not incredibly wise, whatever. But I just wanted to express my opinion on this concept, and why I praise to stay away from being this type of individual, and just to pursue your purpose, and really just take life less seriously as well. You got to pursue your purpose and take life less seriously, because we're all finite human beings. We won't live an infinite amount of years. We only have a certain amount of years, so make the most of it. Enjoy your life. Do whatever you want to do to an extent, and pursue that dream you have. And yeah, stay away from being the underground man. Hope you enjoyed that, and let me know what you think of that, and have a good one.